What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Darren. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy, and of course this channel is about looking good and smelling amazing. So if you're like me and you like to look good and smell great, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit the bell icon. That way you get notified when I release new content from this channel. Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about 10 fragrances in my collection on the niche side of things that I will rate a perfect 10 out of 10. On last week I released my 10 designer fragrances that I would rate a 10 out of 10, and of course I want to follow that up talking about the same thing on the niche side of things. So if you guys want to know what 10 fragrances I have in my collection that are niche that I rate a 10 out of 10, you already know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Let's go ahead and jump right into the list. You understand that this is just 10 fragrances that I would rate a 10 out of 10, but this is way more difficult for me on the niche side of things than it was honestly on the designer side. So I do have 5 quick honorable mentions that I do want to at least throw their names out there, because I didn't want to have the list inundated with fragrances from the same house. So what I did as it relates to featuring fragrances on the list was I chose between fragrances from that house. If there were 3 fragrances I was considering from the same house, I chose one to really feature, and I will list a few others again as honorable mentions. So let's start the list off with from the house of Creed. You've heard me talk a lot about this one, Silver Mountain Water. Now I love and adore this fragrance, but again there was another fragrance from the house that is going to be on the list, so I did want to mention this fragrance. I do give it a 10 out of 10 though. The next honorable mention for me is from the house of MAISON KURKDJIAN. This is Baccarat Rouge 540. Now, again, I've talked about this a lot, so not going into notes and all that kind of stuff, but just know that I do rate this one a 10 out of 10. I love everything about this fragrance, from the performance, the scent DNA. Again, everything about it just works for me. So this one also gets a perfect 10 out of 10. From the house of NISHANE, this one is Ombre Calabria. I'm going to be talking more about this one. There's going to be a standalone review in the coming weeks about this one, but man, this one is nice and citrusy on the opening and a kind of creamy vanilla type dry down. This stuff is magic and it gives great performance. Again, I'm going to be talking more about this one in the coming weeks, but man, this one also is a fragrance that I would rate definitely a 10 out of 10. Next honorable mention for me comes from the house of XERJOFF, and this is probably the best citrus-based fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. This is XERJOFF Neo. It's hard to find a citrus. It's hard for me to find a citrus fragrance that performs this well, but it's so pure and so rich as it relates to how the fragrance smells. The overall composition. This is a citrus-based fragrance that smells extremely expensive. And to me, that's kind of hard to do sometimes with citrus fragrances as far as the quality and them smelling expensive. But this one has accomplished it with XERJOFF Neo. So this will rate a perfect 10 out of 10 in my collection. And the last honorable mention for me, again, back to the house of XERJOFF. This one is Casa Marati 1888. This is a floral fragrance. The main note here is carnation, but again, amazing fragrance, awesome performance, very unique scent DNA. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 as well. All right, guys, now that we have gotten the honorable mentions out of the way, let's jump right into the 10 fragrances. We're going to start with this one from the house of ROJA, and this is Creation E. This is definitely a 10 out of 10. Again, when you talk about performance, when this was released, the very unique scent DNA of this, tobacco, you got cognac, man, this stuff is so good. Man, it's so hard to smell this and not mention the fact that it kind of, you get that Coca-Cola vibe, because it's so prominent in the beginning. But man, you need only maybe 2 sprays of this and you are set to go all day long. This thing lasts forever as far as the longevity on it. So, you know, again, it's definitely a fragrance that's more suited for the cold weather. I would never recommend you wearing this in the hot months or the warmer months, because this stuff is nuclear as it relates to the projection. It's expensive, but it's a luxury fragrance. It's one that as a collector, if you can get it, I would say definitely put your nose on it and add it to the collection if you can. This is like the Bentley of the, this is like the Bentley of the fragrances. So, you know, expensive luxury. You know, if you can get your hands on it, do so, because I love this stuff. A perfect 10 out of 10 from the house of ROJA Dove. This is Creation E. Next fragrance I would rate a definite 10 out of 10 is from the house of FREDRIC, and this is Portrait of a Lady. Portrait of a Lady, I've talked about this one a little bit here recently. And like I said, not going to really go through a whole bunch of notes and stuff on this list, but man, beautiful rose and patchouli combination. You know, that's the best way for me to kind of quickly summarize this fragrance, but masterpiece, masterpiece, masterpiece. Absolutely adore this stuff. I've told you guys before, I really fell in love with the note of rose, and this does rose like no other fragrance. So definite 10 out of 10 for me from the house of FREDRIC. This is Portrait of a Lady. The next fragrance on my list that is a perfect 10 out of 10, this one comes from the house of XERJOFF, and this is ITALICA. I mentioned this fragrance a few videos ago when I talked about I think my 4 niche fragrances for life, and for the winter it came down to this and Black Phantom. Black Phantom offers a little bit more versatility to me, as I said before, but man, this is a stunning gourmand scent. Again, this is another one that's very on the high-end, expensive end, but I think is well worth it. You have toffee in this, you have vanilla, I mean, just about any almond, almost any gourmand note you can think of is packed in this thing, man. But it smells so rich and so, man, so sophisticated, man. I think the star player in this for me is that toffee. I get a lot of toffee in this fragrance. It's almost like a caramel sweetness that you get with this. But again, imagine combining that with notes like almond and vanilla. Gourmand lover's dream. Perfect 10 out of 10 from the presentation to the juice to everything about it, performance. This fragrance shines from the house of XERJOFF. This is ITALICA. Certainly not going to spend a lot of time on this one because you know, you guys have heard all about it, but it is what it is. I would be remiss and I would be lying if I excluded this from the list just based on its popularity from the house of Creed. This is AVENTUS. You know, and I will say this, and I always say this: any fragrance that can incite the mass hysteria, the number of clones, and the amount of dialogue and conversations that this fragrance has started, by all means should be on a list of 10 out of 10. For me, this fragrance is a perfect 10 out of 10. Again, I don't care how many people have it, how many people wear it, like it or don't like it. For me, this checks all the boxes. It was the originator of this scent DNA, and for that alone, it deserves a 10 out of 10 from the house of Creed. This one is AVENTUS. The next fragrance on the list for me is from the house of MAISON KURKDJIAN, and this is Oud Satin Mood. Oud Satin Mood, I like this just as much, if not more, than Baccarat Rouge 540. So I definitely give this a perfect 10 out of 10 and had to make this list. It has a very nice rose and oud combination, and I know that is, you know, kind of sort of overdone in fragrances in general, but this one does it to perfection. I think you have Bulgarian rose as well as a Turkish rose in here. But again, the oudiness, again, I don't really like those really animalic oud smelling fragrances, but this one is perfect. I think the rose balances the oud out perfectly in this this fragrance, and again, it's one that is just sexy. It performs, it smells great, it gets attention, it gets the conversation started. So again, hands down, easy 10 out of 10 for me in my collection from the house of MAISON KURKDJIAN. This is Oud Satin Mood. The next fragrance on the list for me features notes that I absolutely love and adore, and I'm so glad that a fragrance house thought to put these notes all in the same fragrance from the house of NISHANE. This is Fan Your Flames. Fan Your Flames, perfect 10 out of 10. This is a nice coconut, rum, and tonka bean combination right here. Oh man, you just have to put your nose on it. NISHANE, the house of NISHANE, is a house for me. I'm really into that house right now, exploring more of their fragrances, because all the ones that I put my nose on, they smell great and they get great performance. Smell great and great performance, and those are two characteristics that are highly sought after, especially for me and what I look for in a fragrance. And this one checks those boxes for certain. Easy 10 out of 10. I love the way, again, the coconut and the rum kind of vibe in this one. It just smells so freaking good, man. Tobacco as well. Tobacco, coconut. Guys, if you never put your nose on Fan Your Flames, I highly recommend you do so because it is a treat to your nose. From the house of NISHANE, this is Fan Your Flames. The next fragrance on the list is a fragrance from the house of Parfums de Marly. And the reason I chose this one is because I love Harriet, I love Layton, and I say, hey, why not choose a fragrance that combines both of those fragrances together? From the house of Parfums de Marly, this is Carlisle. And again, that's kind of sort of what it reminds me of. You get some of the Harriet in here, you get some of Layton, best of both worlds in one bottle. I honestly would rate both of those fragrances a 10 out of 10 as well. But this one right here is the one that I chose because I get, as I said before, some of the things I like about Harriet and some of the things I like most about Layton all in this one bottle right here. So definite 10 out of 10 if you never put your nose on it. Again, one I highly recommend that you sample. From the house of Parfums de Marly, this is Carlisle. The next fragrance on the list, this is a fragrance that I heard a lot about when I was really entering into the world of reviewing in the fragrance community as we know it. And I heard a lot about this fragrance, and it was everything that I imagined it would be from hearing others talk about it and more. From the house of AMOUAGE, this is Reflection Man. This is Reflection Man, and guys, you know what you get with this. And just two notes that really stand out to me is this: is the jasmine and the sandalwood. It's such a creamy, floral fragrance, man. And again, very unique scent DNA. I haven't really smelled many other things besides MALLE that smells like Reflection Man. But to me, again, this is not, a lot of people talk about how they're like, how close they are. To me, my nose doesn't pick up that kind of closeness between those two fragrances. I mean, there's a similarity there, but these are totally different fragrances to me. This is a lot more floral, a lot more fresh than what you get with MALLE. But you know, again, not a comparison video between those two fragrances. Just want to talk about my love and admiration for this one. This is an older formulation. As you can see, it didn't have the magnetic cap, so this is an older formulation, so I get great performance out of it. Resounding theme here: great performance, smells great, a staple in my collection. I love this stuff. Definite 10 out of 10 from the house of AMOUAGE. This is Reflection Man. Anybody who's been following my channel for any amount of time knows how much I love and adore this next fragrance. So again, not going to spend a lot of time on it. Should come as no surprise that this is a 10 out of 10 to me. From the house of Bond No. 9, this is New York Oud. Again, another rose oud combination, but this one adds some saffron to the mix. But man, this stuff is fantastic. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Portrait of a Lady, but with the Bond No. 9 DNA to it. So it's not as heavy as you get it's not as heavy as Portrait of a Lady, because that patchouli is really strong in Portrait of a Lady. But this one is fantastic, man. Another fragrance, again, like I said, that has rose, and rose is a note, like I said, that I've come to really enjoy. And this is one of the fragrances that really opened my mind up to it, in addition to Lyric Man. But man, I love this stuff. Again, easy 10 out of 10 for me. Checks all the boxes, as I've said before. From the house of Bond No. 9, this is New York Oud. And last but not least, guys, I hate to be anticlimactic, but I was just pulling these fragrances out of the box because they are in no order. I never try to put these in order of any kind. Just happened to be the last one that I pulled out of the box, and you probably know what this is. From the house of KILIAN, this is Black Phantom. Now again, KILIAN is another house that there were a few fragrances that I could have chosen that I actually rated 10 out of 10. There are like 2 or 3 others in my collection that are 10s to me, but this is my favorite of the bunch. You know what you get with Black Phantom, my white chocolate mochaccino in a bottle right here. You have rum, you have sugar cane, you have vanilla. Again, just about all the gourmand notes you can think of that's packed, coffee packed right into this one bottle. And again, I'll never forget one of the first times I wore Black Phantom. When I put it on, I wore a sweater, and literally for the next couple weeks until I put that sweater in the cleaners, I could smell this thing on that sweater. No lie, it lasts on my skin over 9 hours. So again, a fragrance that smells great and is a great performance. I'm in love with the scent DNA, one of my favorites. Easy 10 out of 10. From the house of KILIAN, this is Black Phantom. Okay guys, that's my time. Thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this video. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with me, your boy, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy, and I sincerely appreciate that. Don't forget to take the time to like, comment, and subscribe, and share these videos out to other folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your main man, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course I love to smell amazing. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.